All right. Speaking of Dana Rohrabacher is interesting because unlike I think his love of Russia and Putin is actually quite sincerely emotional. I think it is deep. I think it speaks to whatever issues he has about his own aging process, his own sense of masculinity, his own deep admiration for Steven Seagal. Here is Dana Rohrabacher, who was apparently also in the mix to be Secretary of State, on Morning Joe. They're asking him about the Russia stuff, and he is so upset, both because of his love of Putin and his hatred of Muslims, that he almost, via satellite from Irvine, California, gets off the set.
Republican Congressman Dana Rohrabacher. He's the chairman of the subcommittee on Europe, Eurasia, and emerging threats. Dana, how did the United States sit back and do absolutely nothing as Assad was slaughtering his people and the Russians stepped in and joined in on that slaughter? Why did we do nothing?
Well, that's a question that's based on false premises.
No,
and
it's
as far
not.
as I'm concerned.
No, it's
now,
not.
Here's the hit. Well, wait a minute. You want me to answer your question?
No, I just don't want you to lie on my television
Is this
show.
channel every time they ask a question and somebody tries to answer the way they want to?
Well, no,
they interrupt
we just
guest?
don't let people come on the show and lie.
This is what happened before. Let me put it this way.
What happened before? You lied before? We wouldn't cut you off unless you lied. Are you saying the Russians didn't target women and children in Aleppo?
Are you going to let me answer? You're going to let me talk?
I just asked you the question again. I asked you a question,
okay,
and you said it was a false premise.
Goodbye. If you're not going to let me say anything,
Dana,
it's goodbye.
All right, Dana
I'm a
Rohrabacher,
guest in your program.
Dana, thank you so much for being with us.
I am a guest in your program, and you're not letting me have a say.
Well, I asked you a question twice.
You don't want me to answer the question the way I am going to answer the question.
Okay, you got 10 seconds. Go ahead.
Answer the question.
All right, so now you're going to give me a chance to do it. All right, the bottom line is we are in war with radical Islam. We are at war with people who want to destroy us. You're talking about a no-fly zone where we are shooting down Russian airplanes.
No.
We need to be working with the Russians to defeat radical Islam.
I asked about the women and children that the Russians were targeting.
Let me tell you something. We allied with Stalin. We allied with Stalin in order to defeat Hitler.
Well,
now Stalin was a horrible man. He murdered millions of people, but we knew Hitler was a bigger threat. Today, the biggest threat is radical Islam to our safety. And if we keep trying to focus on all of the faults of Russia so that we can't work with them to defeat this common enemy, you're not doing any service to the people of the United States or the cause of peace.
Well, I think we found common cause here. You're comparing Vladimir Putin to Stalin. I think that's a apt comparison.
I don't care who we compare him to. We need Russia on our side to defeat radical Islam.
Okay, Joe always with his little ooh, aren't I clever with that semi not funny actually quip about, oh, you want to compare Stalin to Putin? Oh, well, shut up, Joe. Moving down, it actually worked when he was whining and threatening to leave the set, but because Mika sort of was able to calm Daddy Scarborough down, but I think that's a risky gambit that Rohrabacher did there, because if you're going to do the whole I'll just leave the set, he literally paused mid all right, I'm taking my earpiece off. If you're going to make that move, you got to just get out. You can't sit there and be all right, well, I'm waiting because I might leave the set. Okay, you're going to let me justify Russian war crimes? Are you going to let me justify Russian war crimes? Am I going to fearmonger about the Muslims? Okay, thank you, Mika. And finally, ISIL is a threat. Terrorism is a real issue. Comparing it to Hitler is beyond delusional. And the last thing I'll say about the sketch is about that clip is, who is this Dana Rohrabacher? He's a strong man. Why Joe never let him make a talk? Why Joe let Mika Chanel speak? I like how Mika's there with the scarf, doing the deep nod, while Scarborough is just answer the question, and this guy's having a meltdown. I mean, could you imagine being a staffer for that guy?
It's funny how they've just gotten to the point where it's let me answer the question the way I want to.
Yeah, she's like, Joe, let him answer the question the way he wants to. I always find it really uncomfortable, and I have to basically agree with them.
Hey, it's Sam Seder. Why don't you subscribe to this channel? You can do so right over here. Subscribe.